Greetings, one and all. It's a rainy Sunday night here in Scotland. Finally, actually, it's not rained for like a month, so that's probably good news. We're not
Same
all going to
here.
die of thirst. So that's good news.
Dude, the fucking grass outside's been going brown. I was
I
like,
know,
oh.
yeah. I haven't had to cut my grass for like a good like 2 or 3 weeks because it's stopped
Yeah.
growing. So there's been advantages, but yeah, you start to get worried where everything's just starting to die off. So, yeah. And anyway, we are here and we've got a bunch of super chats to get through. So, what do you reckon we just fly right into them?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. The first one on our list for our consideration is from Silk Crayfish, who says, "My brother thinks the best Batman's characterization is from The Dark Knight, and his romance with Rachel is well done and well developed. What are your thoughts?"
My favorite would be Batman Returns. I adore the fact that he basically has to admit to himself that his duality, his double life, makes it so that he can't have normal relationships properly, and then that's what destroyed him with Vicky Vale, and that
Shit.
Michelle
You've
Pfeiffer.
picked the one as me. Same one.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's a really solid answer. The fact that he's drawn to Catwoman, who is clearly insane because of the fact that she's split right down the middle, as they say, and that he tries to save her, but that she feels like she's too far gone and almost doesn't deserve it. I really like that film, and I really love what they do with this character.
Yeah. No, I very much agree. And it's, yeah, I don't see him as the kind of guy who's going to be able to form relationships, and probably he shouldn't. And it's part of the price that he pays for the work that he does and the risks that he takes, I guess. So, yeah, I feel like the Tim Burton movies just really nailed his character. So, yeah, that'd be my picks too. Just the Dark Knight trilogy, really. I thought they were fantastic, grounded comic book movies. Don't love them as a representation of Batman, but maybe that's just me. AJ Matheson says, Mauler, I just watched the Golem gameplay supercut. Watching Az's slow descent into madness was almost Lovecraftian.
Yeah, it happens. He's alive though, so that's all good.
He made it, yeah. He's you know missing out on streaming and stuff so that he can go to the gym. Mad bastard that he is. But yeah, he's got on the fitness kick again, so respect to him. He's looking good.
Absolutely, yeah. Keep it up.
Yeah, me and him have still got to do that slow motion Rocky 3 run down the beach and then hug each other. So yeah, we're gonna get there one day. Don't worry. Richard Blum says you should check out Unleashed with Jet Li and Morgan Freeman. Probably my favorite martial arts movie. Surprisingly heartfelt. Excellent stuff. Nice. Enoch Mamon says Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the new destroyer of franchises. She's more masculine than J.J. Abrams. Yeah, true. P.S. Why are chest wounds no longer fatal in Lucasfilm projects? Those tend to be fatal in real life. Yeah, I mean, call me crazy. I mean, I'm no doctor, but getting a shaft of pure plasma shoved through your chest and probably through your spinal column as well, that's probably going to do a lot of damage.
Well, they have two stomachs, don't you know? The creatures that. I don't just make jokes about how everyone has two stomachs, but yeah, Star Wars. I don't know if you saw the tweet about it, but it said something like, "What's her name? Ayla Sakura and Shakti are both alive again in the Star Wars canon now, even though."
Are they?
Yeah, and it said like they survived Order 66, and then you see a lot of tweets say like, I don't believe anyone fucking died in Order 66.
I know.
Bullshit. It was all a sham. And yeah, legit. Like I think Friggy read it to me, and I was like, I don't care. Like I don't give a shit. You can say that, Qui-Gon is gonna get his own TV. It's just like just stop.
Yeah, none of this is canon now, as far as I'm concerned. It's just we're watching someone's mad fan fiction scribblings. That's pretty much where Star Wars is at now.
This character you liked at this point is back again. They're doing this now. Bye. Watch, please.
Yeah, please watch our stuff. No one is watching it. Taylor Ramirez says, to be fair, Velma doesn't require writing. I mean, it's just kind of like a therapy session, really, for Mindy Kaling. So, yeah, I guess not. Satiris Pyrobuses says, Velma Season 2, Little Platoon is going to be rich. I think a lot of people will be. Vimorians says, thank you for Critical Doggo Cam. Also, what about Renfield? Why is it flopping this hard? Any thoughts on Evil Dead Rise? Yeah, no problem with the critical doggo cam. I wanted to bring it back because it's popular demand and all that. And to be fair, I think Smokey put in a good performance on Thursday night. What do you reckon?
Hmm. As for Renfield, by the way, I don't know why anyone would have expected that was ever going to do that well. It's a very obscure, pitch. Like, want to see Nicolas Cage fucking around as Dracula, sort of with. I think the storyline is his personal helper has gone to like an equivalent of like a therapy group and is talking
Yeah.
about him. And then there's like mob and drug things. I was just like, this looks absurd, but like potentially in a fun, good way. Not seen it yet, but it doesn't surprise me at all that it didn't do well.
I think there's a slight feeling now that because Nicolas Cage has had like a couple of successes, relatively speaking, and he did The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, that was well received. It's like
Mm,
he's back now and he's suddenly a bankable A-list star again. It's like, well, let's slow it
no.
down a little bit. He's not at that level, and you can't just shove him into anything and expect it to be like successful. It's not. It's not that situation right now. So I think that's probably part of it too. Um, what was the other one? Evil Dead Rise. Haven't seen it yet, I'm afraid, so I don't know, but I am looking forward to.
I've heard some
Uh,
good things about it.
yeah. Danny B says, Drinker, love your videos. Wondering if you think there might be a movie renaissance in the coming years where they prioritize writing and storytelling over visual effect, especially in fantasy. God, I really hope so. I mean, we've
That'd
talked
be
about it
nice.
quite a bit over the years, or over the past few months, certainly. It does feel like the superhero genre is kind of in its terminal decline, and that's if that dies, then it's going to pave the way for a lot of movies that are going to be cheaper, hopefully, and easier to make. We're starting to see it with little things like Sisu was really successful. Extraction, that Chris Hemsworth franchise. I was just talking to Mahler about it before this stream, and those movies are pretty well received. And
Hmm.
you've got the John Wick films. I think there's a lot of potential there to start doing you know violent, gritty action movies again, and actually having them be really commercially viable. And yeah, we also talked obviously about video games, how their adaptations are starting to become really interesting properties, because it can be done now, and it's proven that it can be done.
Yeah, there definitely feels like there's a churn of difference happening. So there be changes occurring. I know Gary fully believes that we're almost at like the tail end of significant events causing a big change that's on the way. We'll do what we always do and comment on what we think is happening and where we think we might be going. It can always change, but it does feel like this has gone on for way too long. This whole shit writing and terrible movies thing. And once upon a time, a lot of people, let's say on Twitter, would be like, "Oh, you guys just hate everything," and it's moved on to more so like everyone's memeing on movies.
Hmm.
Like the Flash release, man, everyone's shitting all over it. It's just like we all agree it's just an awful piece of media. Like, and it's like, damn, not even got people just being like, hey, just have fun with a movie.
Yeah, yeah, and well, we've got Indy 5 coming up soon as well. So
Oof.
yeah. Speaking of which, Glippy says, "Do the drinker fixies of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where you fix the issue of Indy doesn't matter." Fantastic movie, but that has always bothered me. Yeah, I know it's always been the meme of like he doesn't really impact the plot, but you could probably just tweak the script in a few minor places where like his input is vital to them finding like the medallion or the ark or whatever it might be. There's plenty of things you can do there,
Yep.
but it doesn't bother me. It's like it's still an adventure movie that's got amazing set pieces and like mysteries, traps, treasure seeking. Like it's all good fun.
Hmm.
SC Penny says, "My first live watch. Normally watch the next day." Well, there you go. Hope you enjoyed it live.
Yeah.
Jara Mayo says Disney is censoring more movies. They censored The French Connection for modern audiences, but physical copies, people buy them. Yeah, I heard about The French Connection. I'm not sure. What did they censor in it?
I've heard that they censored it. Don't know what they did censor though.
Let me
But I completely believe that they would do that.
let me see if there's a quick quick summary. Okay, right. So, oh, right, it's a racial slur. So they didn't just like change the dialogue or anything. Like they removed that entire scene, which
Wow.
is wow. That's pretty brutal.
an asshole thing to do. And people talk about physical copies. The funny thing is that majority of the people who pirate things here and there, they're just going to increase the customers for that. Because when I say customers, they're not really, but whatever you want to call pirates.
Demand.
But the thing is, the copies that are widely pirated, sorry, of that film are going to be the ones that have not been edited. So it's just like,
Yeah.
well, people are going to start getting drawn more to that. Have you seen that sentiment that we entered the streaming era and it kind of like fixed the problem of pirating? Not completely, but a lot of people were like, fuck it, yeah, I won't need to pirate anymore. I'll just grab the Netflix subscription. It's actually more convenient in a way. But we've finally circled all the way back to, with all these streaming services, all the passwords and all this shit, it's like, I might just go back to pirating. It's like, oh, shit.
It's easier and more convenient.
Yeah.
Silk Crayfish says, Mauler, when are we getting the rest of the EFAT Batwoman coverage? It's my favourite comedy.
So you'll get... the plan is basically 2 per year until they're all done, and then we'll do a regular scheduled thing. It's just... Das Bullshit is not my full-time editor. He's a full-time editor for other people. I adore his editing, and he got given Batwoman, and so as far as I'm concerned, we wait until he completes it, and it's totally on his time. So it will be finished. There's no way it won't be, and it's going to be funny the day that we finally release the season 3 finale. All those naysayers out there who never would have thought it's possible, but one day we'll announce that they're coming out regularly, but they need to all be finished first.
Cool. Student says Spielberg dropped some sweet ass salt on KK. So sweet to see.
He did.
What shade does he throw her way? I don't know what he said. Back then and back again says, I finally understand Rings of Power. The first scene set up Galadriel's ocean swim. She was staring at the sun the whole time. That's why she's so bad for the rest of the season. Her retinas were burnt. Okay.
Oh.
It all becomes clear.
Like that queen lady, her eyes got burnt or something, right?
Burned by ash, yeah. A pyroclastic flow straight to the face.
It really hurts your eyes when that happens.
It does, yeah. The goggles, they do nothing. Mauler's missing tentacles says Velma will be the new Simpsons. It'll go forever. Could you imagine a world actually like where we're on season 20 of Velma and it's like this classic beloved piece of animation?
It's like, you guys are too harsh to Velma.
Yeah. Patrick Mulligan says, given everything we see in Starship Troopers, it seems that Buenos Aires attack was a false flag instigated by the government. Arguments against. I've suggested this myself. Yeah, I think it's quite possible. Just to stir up people for another good war.
There's no argument. There's no evidence for or against that argument, though, is there? It's just speculation.
I mean, I'm only going by the movie. I haven't read the novel, but the movie sets up the fact that like they believe that the arachnids are capable of hurling their spores into space on like the backs of asteroids somehow. I don't know how they fucking do that, but whatever.
Well, we see it in the film, don't we? That they're firing those like mortars or equivalent of. Oh, you talking about there's another form of like firing a comet or some shit.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, it's like botany class or something, and the teacher's saying like they can spread to other worlds by hurling their spores out into space. And I just think, okay, theoretically, if that's possible, right? You're talking about the kind of distances. It would be like firing a bullet in London and firing another bullet in Moscow and hoping that they hit each other mid-flight or something, or an artillery shell. Like, the chances of actually colliding with a planet over interstellar distances are so fucking insanely small. There is no way that like they could calculate something like that. For me, it's like, yeah, in practical terms, this seems much more like a false flag operation, which, if you're going by the rationale that this is like a fascist dictatorship, very like military oriented, then, other fascists throughout history were certainly not averse to false flag operations to start wars.
Another great example that would make me wonder about the adaptation rules. The book is very different than the film. Entirely different tone and spirit. And so I wonder, like, we're big into faithfulness. It's like, should the film be considered shit as a result of that, or?
I need to read the book and see how much has been changed.
Because I'm pretty sure, because Sargon's read the book a couple of times, and I'm pretty sure he would consider like the film a dramatic insult.
I mean, I suppose you could make the argument then, like, it could be theoretically it could be a shit adaptation but a good movie.
Well, that would be my take. I quite like having those two things as separate, but a lot of people would bind those two things.
Because as far as I understand it, The Shining is a bad adaptation of the book,
Hmm.
but it's a fucking great horror movie. And so, well, okay, what are you going to argue the merits of this on? You know?
Haunting of Hill House, the show has pretty much piss all to do with the book, but I really like the show, so it's like.
Okay. Boar Legion. Ah, this is shedding a bit more light on this Steven Spielberg thing. So he says, did you see the clip where Steven Spielberg dissed Kathleen Kennedy during the premiere of Indy 5? Echo Base and Valiant Renegade have the video. Ah. How come people haven't been covering this in that case? That seems like the sort of thing that would make the news.
Maybe it was recent when that happened, and I don't know.
Well, I mean, that would now be like 4 days ago or something, so...
Yeah, because I haven't heard anything about this, except now.
Yeah, I'll need to look that up. Anthony Pook says, Mauler, TNG progress. We'll watch DS is best show.
I haven't got any to TNG progress, because
Yeah.
last thing that happened was Drinker put me through the good old Star Trek 1 and 2. It is up to him.
Don't say I put you through
Up
it.
to
Like,
him.
you enjoyed it.
Up to him. I blame
Drinker
him
subjected
for my...
me to it.
I mean, it's true, you know. Though, if you wanted to know what I thought about those movies, you can find a video on Drinker's second channel, right?
It is, yeah. Yeah, we did a watch through of Wrath of Khan, and we talked even a little bit about the motion picture as well before we rolled the movie. So, yeah, I think it's quite an interesting video to get our thoughts on it.
So if you want me to see more Star Trek, complain to Drinker. He controls that now.
Do you want me to force Mauler to watch the rest of the Star Trek movies?
They're going to say
do
yes.
it. Yeah.
They will say yes.
Hiddo Stubbledees says, has anyone seen the trailer for Sympathy for the Devil with Nick Cage? Looks absolutely glorious. I haven't. No,
I have
don't know
not.
much about that. Silver Lining says, Critical Doggo looking like me after a night out. Well, I mean, yeah, he had a few beers before we started, so that's what he's like. He's a mean drunk. T1S says, so, Drinker does the drinking and Smokey does the smoking? Trying to cut him down now. It's bad for him. You know, he's getting older. Tsunami says, Mauler, what does Jay do as EFAP manager besides periodically show up to be a meme? Also get Jay on open bar.
What do you mean? That is the role of the manager.
Yeah. But yeah, we could definitely get Jay on open bar. I think he's been on for... oh no, it was probably a happy hour actually. I think when we did Hill House... No. Invisible Man.
Bly Manor? Oh,
yeah,
right.
Bly
Yeah.
Manor, that was it, yeah. Yeah, it was like it was a weird sort of two-parter thing where we discussed two different things in the course of a happy hour.
I remember Invisible Man. That was kind of a neat movie. Did they ever make a sequel? Or did they even want to?
No, it was a pretty...
It was.
It had fun moments, but it was a bit of a sort of bland take on it, I suppose. I did like the bit where she throws paint on him, though. Pretty
Yeah.
good. Sarjan Narwan says, is Lord of Ring Gollum so bad that it's good? Like The Room. As a viewer, I have deeply enjoyed watching you play it.
If you're alone, I don't think so. If you're with a friend, probably, and then if you're streaming it, I would say definitely.
Yeah. AJM says, Barry is supposed to be more serious. He's the other side of the coin to Bruce. Both lost parents but chose different routes to become heroes. I don't know, man. I don't see Barry as being that serious.
No, he's
talking about the comic book
clown,
version.
right? Oh, okay, yeah.
In and Out says, what is one YouTube channel that you subscribe to? I mean, Mauler.
Critical Drinker.
I subscribe to Mauler. Yeah. Space Ice, he's really good. Yeah, check out his coverage of Steven Seagal movies. It's fucking brilliant. I get a good laugh out of that.
Average Pixel. Guy does big long man videos with his own style of animation that's kind of incredible. It takes him like years to get stuff done, but every time he does it, he comes out with bangers. He recently did a video on, I think you'd consider it like racing sort of games and the history of them or something like that. Average Pixel, check it out.
Nice. Magic Window says, I wonder if Velma was an original idea that couldn't make it on its own, and so they had to graft an existing IP onto it like Scooby-Doo to get anywhere, because that's just how things go now. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. Aiken says, Smokey is a more accurate reflection of my enthusiasm for movies and TV shows in the next few years than Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, definitely. AJM says Miller is such a bad choice. He plays Flash like a mix of Barry, Wally, and Bart with some serious autism thrown in. He's his own comedy relief. Yeah, I don't think many people praising Ezra Miller.
No.
Mahler's missing tentacle says Kang Dynasty, just CG Jonathan Majors like Heimdall's son. Do it. Blue Ball Spare says, "Hey, hello, Gotham Knights has been cancelled. Has anyone checked on Disparu? Thoughts and prayers?" Yeah, he'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Mo Mothman says, "Radiant is the Blood of the Baboon Heart is coming out next month, ending the 20-year journey that is the Venture Brothers. Will you watch it?" No, probably.
I don't watch Venture Brothers, so
Yeah, so it doesn't mean much to me. Firal's Folly says, "Greetings, Drinker and others. Wish me luck in my battle against the unspecified virus of unknown origin. Cannot wait for your review of Phoebe Waller-Jones and the the Dickings of Disney." Yeah, man, I hope you're feeling better. I know, it's not so prevalent now, but it can still knock you on your arse, apparently, the old COVID. So, yeah, hope you get over it quickly. Jay's Salty Taint says, "Glad to see Smokey is back. He is, and he's bad. Watching from my resort in Disney, 17 minutes behind. I'll have a pint with you lads. It's as hot as balls here. Cheers." June in Florida. Holy shit, man. That's brutal. Spizard says, "I think you're fantastic. Thank you. But I do think you might be a tiny bit paranoid over men shaming after hearing your take on Spider-Verse. Peter, reasonable paranoid, but paranoid nevertheless. Other than that, keep rocking." Thank you, my friend. And well, yeah, I mean, I'll happily be proven wrong on the Peter thing. If he turns out to be an awesome hero in the next movie, so be it. I just felt like he was a little bit of a wimp in this one, and a bit too much of a comic relief character. But yeah, maybe that's just me. CB Cox says, "Hey Drinker, love your content. Have you listened to the Resend podcast of Joe Rogan with Chad Stahelski? He watched your..." How many times am I going to hear about this? "He watched your review of the John Wick movies and liked it. And what is your favourite Belgian beer? Best of luck with you, mate, and keep on drinking." Thank you very much, man. And yes, I did hear about this, so that's nice. My favourite one is Left Blonde. That's a good Belgian beer, and I think it's like 6.5%, so it's got a bit of a punch to it. So yeah, it's good stuff. Corey says, "Have you guys thought of playing a game like what the dub on stream? I can imagine you guys' answers being gold. Like what the
I'm
dub."
not sure what that game is.
Yeah, we played a few on EFAP, I think, where you have to like draw things and stuff.
Yeah, and we'll probably play more in future. A game we should play when we gather a bunch of people is like that game where you basically like you say a movie, and then the next person has to say an actor from that movie, and then you have to say a movie that actor is in, and so on and you can't repeat any movie or actor, and then the first person to
Okay.
run out. Obviously, no cheating.
That's that's pretty good. Until you run upon a movie that like you've literally never fucking heard of.
Well, that's the thing. You can kind of sabotage people, right? And be like, "Oh, the long fleam good day," and you're like, "I don't what."
Phoebe Dinsmore says, "Would have been epic if it was Short Round helping Indy and not Basil, and then Short Round's daughter instead of Waller Bridge. Wasted opportunity."
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of wasted opportunities in this movie by the sounds of things. Party Arm CV says, "I'm not going to see this trash. Spoil it." Good, we did spoil it, and we enjoyed it.
People did not care about us spoiling it.
Yeah. Weirdo with a cello says, "I couldn't catch you live when it came up, but I always thought Fat Thor could have worked. Just look at God of War Ragnarok. He can be depressed without losing his whole personality." Yeah, I mean, you could have had him get fat, but like be angry or something. It would have
Why
been.
it doesn't need to be fat. If we're focusing on character elements like being depressed or despondent, you don't need to make him comically fat. I don't know why.
No, you don't. I think it's just, you could probably go on the logic of like, well, when you're depressed and pissed off about stuff, like you don't tend to be in the gym like sculpting your physique.
Yeah,
You're probably just going to resort to booze or
I guess
whatever.
it's just because I see it as like it made more sense to me that he wouldn't get fat anyway, and then they completely undo it the second he's out of that movie. So it's
Yeah.
like just the thing everyone wanted, which was that he was alone, dark, and ruthless. So every fight going forward goes that way. And it would have been really cool to have Thor: Love and Thunder not be Thor: Love and Thunder, and instead being like a movie about how you know, a character like Gore would have been amazing in a movie with a Thor that has become incredibly like ruthless. That would have been really cool because they can
Yeah.
both be like reflections of like because Gore has got the same story, right? So he's doing all this because he lost his family and that he's tired of the universe fucking him over, sort of thing. It's like that's perfect. Why do you guys hate storytelling?
Yeah. Well, they,
Right
they
there.
hate they hate serious storytelling. It's
Yeah,
got to be a joke.
which is funny because I'm pretty sure that would have made more money if they'd done it that way.
Yep. The DCV Titan says this super chat is probably the most money that I'll spend on this movie. Spoil all you like. My only regret is not getting it under 50 characters. Thanks, man. Cobus Hubert says Rome killed Archimedes during the Second Carthage War. The Greek wars came later. The movie about history is messed up for fuck's sake. Yeah, it probably is.
Hmm.
T1S says Drinker. We know Mahler does a great cliched American action hero voice, but how's your American accent? Give us a sample, please. I don't know. My accent's never been too good, and I always sound like a good old Southern boy. I just can't do any other one. So yeah, I can never do like a New York accent or anything. It's always got to be like the deep South for some reason. Um, Dragonic Ice Mage says, "Hello, gentlemen. Do you guys think a prequel Terminator movie focusing on the rise of Skynet and the early years of the war would be good? A good way to continue the franchise?
No,
It would be the OG timeline with no time travel. Thanks. I just don't want any more Terminator
just
movies.
stop
Just
it.
let
One
it
and two.
die."
That's it.
Nostalgia Page says, Drinker, Pattinson's Bruce Wayne hasn't figured out the Playboy persona. I can't believe you, of all people, missed the point over a year ago. I mean, what can I say? Like, I can only go by what's in the movie. You know, if you're gonna, maybe my opinion of the film will change in light of the second movie where he's older and he's more into the Bruce Wayne Playboy persona. I guess, yeah, the whole just like moody emo sort of adolescent kind of persona that he seemed to have going on in that movie just wasn't really working for me. And I
Yeah,
don't.
you can have multiple directions before he ends up as the Bruce that we're familiar with as a sort of mask.
And the thing is,
And
Pattinson's not exactly that young either. Like, hold on, what is he? He's in his 40s, is he not?
I don't
Oh
know.
no, sorry, he's 37. So yeah, he's like Keaton and stuff were probably about that age when they played Batman for the first time, and they could do the Playboy persona. So yeah, it's not like you have to go down this route of like, oh, he's just started as Batman and he doesn't know how to do this. Like, I'd almost have thought like, I don't know, the crime fighting aspect would still be the thing that's new to him, and he's more inclined to make mistakes there. But I don't know. Um, Aurora Uplink says, I know what. The goddaughter should have wanted to save her father and mother with the time travel device. That would have made her endearing if Indy was the one worried about time and her when she was more worried about family. Yes, that would have made her more endearing. But I guess she had to be like the voice of reason in this one or something. I'm still pissed about the whole idea that he just wanted to stay in the past and die, so she knocks him out and drags him back into the future. Fuck this
It's gonna be
movie.
fun to watch.
Fuck it and everyone involved in it. Honestly, that's disgusting. Um, Dragonic Ice Mage says, I know you don't need it, but I was just curious if you guys think that direction would be worth exploring if they're just going to make another one anyway. So I think that was a follow on from. Oh yeah, the Terminator thing. Um, yeah, I don't know if they've got any more Terminator movies plans. Like, I don't see where they can take the franchise from this point. I
They'll
don't
do
want
what
to
they
see in
always do,
another.
right? Fucking multiverse timelines, time traveling all over the place, and then cameos from everybody from the other movies because that's all they know how to do. That's their one trick.
Just keep rehashing the same ideas. When W says, Drinker, I just bought Redemption. Loving it so far. Regarding research, did you interview people? Did anybody decline and not take you seriously, or were they happy to help with your novels? Cheers. No, I mean the people I spoke to were like usually people I knew, like friends and stuff who'd done tours out in Afghanistan, and yeah, obviously they're happy to talk to me because they're my friends. So yeah, I had no problems with that. And then the rest of the research you can just get from going to the library or looking online. There's plenty of ways to find stuff out when you need it. John Thomas says, I will die on this hill. Darth Kennedy deliberately made a bad movie as a final FU to the fans and to George and Spielberg. She is burning Lucasfilm to the ground on her way out. What about her? What about her disproves me? I mean, it's tinfoil hat territory, but it's got a certain merit to it because you almost look at movies like this and think, how could you make something this shit? Like, it takes almost a concerted effort to fuck up this badly.
Definitely feels like that.
Aurora uplinks. I know Chris can't answer this one, but how does she stop the bleeding? She saves him by carrying him through time, but why doesn't he bleed to death or die if he's already dying? Who knows? She's got the power of feminism to help him. Hannah G says, Hail Open Bar. I'm a 31-year-old millennial woman and I couldn't stand Fleabag. I thought it was absolutely deplorable, unlikable, and morally bankrupt. I couldn't understand why it was popular. I mean, yeah, I mean, you're speaking as someone who's seen it. Like, neither of us have, but
Nope.
yeah, the concept, I guess, just didn't appeal to me, so I had no interest in watching it. I don't know why people rave about it. I assume there's something good in there, but God knows what. Stefan Riddle says, you talk about Season 3 of Picard as a great return to Star Trek, but what's your opinion on the Orville, especially Season 3 with the Hulu budget? Great world made by a real fan of Star Trek in Seth MacFarlane. Yeah, I mean, I've only seen bits and pieces of the Orville. I liked it. It's got a very, like, next generation feel to it, but with, like, you know, jokey elements. And, yeah, by all accounts, it gets quite good. I just haven't put in the time on it, I suppose. Shirogami says, Grace Randolph worships Waller Bridge. Enough said. Grace Randolph, the bastion of good takes. No Guard says, the double think of the Doomed project happens in video games too. You only realize how far it's taken you when you leave. Yeah, that's the bubble that Paul was talking about. Man of the Half Hour says, that Velma Season 2 money should have been used to revive Venture Brothers instead. You like Venture Brothers, don't you? You could put, sorry, T1S says you could put Kennedy, JJ, Ryan Johnson, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge on a ship on a collision course with the sun, and the only thing of value that would be lost would be the ship. Also, hi Frank Gore. Nice. Mr. Silver, those old guys saying, I know these people and what they're doing, but I can't say who they are and what they do is getting tiresome. Empty commentary. I mean, well, it's the kind of industry that you work in where you name names and suddenly you either get sued or they never confide in you again. So
yeah,
that's a tough one, I suppose.
That's just how it works, unfortunately.
Derek says, I used to think that Kathleen Kennedy couldn't read the room. Now I realise that she can. She just thinks it's the room's fault for being full of misogynists. Maybe. Lord Trinan says, Disney's CFO was just ousted. Yeah, we heard about that. Waddle D's Nuts says, so Chris, sounds like Indy 5 retcons the fourth sending where Indy is made the dean of his university. Did they ever explain what happened between them? Apparently
this is
not.
Why, by the way, that I will be rewatching even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because I gotta imagine that they've practically memory holed that film too.
Oh yeah. Your Name is an Adverb says, this Indy movie should have been made in the 90s and set in 1944. Indy's working in the museum, finds out that Hitler has found the Spear of Destiny and has to stop him. Bring in Salah, Marion, Short Round, Marcus, and his dad. Classic beats. Yeah, we could have probably had another Indy movie in the mid-90s. We didn't need it. I thought Last Crusade was a fine way to end it, but you could have done it. Aurora Uplink says, better than the War of the Roses, talk about losing. Is that the movie? I've seen that one.
I haven't seen the adaptation of it now. I don't think I've ever seen a movie about the War of the Roses.
I think it's Michael Douglas that's in that.
Hmm.
Trying to remember who the female lead is. It is Kathleen Turner. Yeah. Crikey, I'm just looking at this. Danny DeVito was in it.
Really?
Forgot about that. Yeah. Anyway, Fulvey says, did George nominate Kathleen Kennedy in order to sabotage future movies for Disney? Did he call them white slavers? MB maybe planned for a future buyback. I don't think he would have planned for this. Like, surely not. He wouldn't have wanted to see Star Wars get ruined.
We've talked before about how we don't believe for a second that he would buy it back, but that it would be a really funny thing to have happen.
Yeah,
and we'd enjoy the hell out of it, especially if he decanonized every Disney work the second he got in. That'd be so funny.
it would make him the ultimate fucking meme lord. I would love it.
Yes.
Why can Elon Musk not buy it? Because compared to what he bought Twitter for, like this is bargain basement stuff now. He could easily buy Lucasfilm and just he would be the sort of guy who would immediately decanonize that shit and probably fire everyone.
Well, they got to be willing to sell it for him to buy it, right?
Yeah, but if you offer them enough money, they probably would.
Mm.
Like they'd have to, yeah, could be a lot, but
Especially if they see it as a money sink. It would just be so fucking funny for him to just be like, "Yeah, I'm buying Star Wars. I'm buying Indiana Jones. I'm buying this, that, and the other." And then he does a little fucking Twitter poll: "What should be decanonized?" like, it's like, please, Elon, just nuke it all.
yeah. Matt Bell says, "Am I the only one who's experienced the rate of people talking in theaters has increased since after COVID? They need something in the background while socializing. It's sad. Netflix mentality cancer." I've not really noticed it. I've
Hmm.
generally found movie theaters are still pretty quiet.
I always assume, culturally speaking, that Britain and America are very, very different, and so I can't really comment because in Britain, if you don't shut the fuck up, you're gonna piss off everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Because yeah, British audiences don't really react to things on screen. Like they might laugh occasionally, but like they don't cheer and clap and all that shit.
no.
Nelson Shirita says the producers understood how to tell a war story. The third act's got to go. Germany's losing the war. It's depressing. Yeah. Satiris Pyrobuses says Mauler, Flash or Crisis on Infinite Tisms.
Why? They're both horrible. I don't know. The Crisis one was probably worse. I don't know. I guess the CG and everything about it is like slightly worse. So I
Yeah.
don't know if there's anything I liked in Crisis Infinite. Meanwhile, there's like a couple of things I liked about the Flash movie.
Chris Potts says Disney CFO Christine McCarthy to step down. The rats are jumping ship. Sounds like it. Ceteris Pyrobus says also because I keep making you try to say it. It's Ceteris Paribus. All things equal in economics. Ah, okay. So I was fucking up your name all this time. Toilet Seatbelt says, has anyone pointed out that the Hateful Eight could be an allegory for American history and society? Maybe a bit of a cynical one, but it could explain the more bizarre narrative decisions. Not much of an excuse, though. There's a lot to pick apart in that film, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Ski says, crazy idea, Disney. If you were so desperate to make Indy 5, why not have the actor for Short Round reprise his role and have them go on one last adventure together? But go ahead, keep burning money. It's more entertaining for us. Oh, yes. When's the money going to run out? That's the question.
Mm.
Feeling Dangerous says, I've been watching your main channel for years, never caught a live stream. I find myself having enjoyed the Spider-Verse too, but feel a bit jobbed by the cliffhanger ending. When will the next one happen? That's a couple of years now, isn't it? Because it's been pushed back because of the strikes.
Did it officially get pushed back?
I think it is, yeah.
I haven't heard about that yet, but obviously
So it's what, Beyond the Spider-Verse?
yeah, initial release date was I think March of next year, but I assume it may have gone further back now.
Oh no, actually, at the moment, it's still, from what I'm seeing, March 2024. So it might be okay. I'll take that back then. Right. Van Adams says Gunga Din from 1939 is mandatory viewing to understand what Spielberg was aiming for with Indiana Jones. Great film. Nice. Puddy Evans says it's the same issue with postmodernism. A copy of a copy of a copy. New Star Wars is using old Star Wars as a reference instead of Flash Gordon. Yeah, exactly true. Night King says Temple of Doom is almost a remake of Gunga Din, but no one is going to get that. It's the same with Tarantino and Rodriguez inspired by HK action films. Yeah, I guess that's like the depth of background knowledge, I suppose. Timmy04 says, Drinker, Mahler, what are your thoughts on the Star Wars prequels versus the Hobbit trilogy? Oof.
Wow. What am I to say about that?
I think I like the Star Wars prequels more than I like the Hobbit trilogy.
I certainly do. I don't know which I would say is better. I don't know. But the prequels, like I watched them when I was growing up. The Hobbit trilogy, I remember being of an age that was enough to be like, I don't like this. I miss
Yeah.
my Lord of the Rings.
OMG Puppies says, contrast chroma key with the technology that Hitchcock used in The Birds. Sodium D-line light and notch filters so people knew how to do it right a long time ago. And Hitchcock was a bit of a pioneer with all that stuff, wasn't he? So it's all good.
He was pretty good, that Hitchcock guy.
He knew his stuff. He was an okay director.
Okay, yeah.
Boar Legion says, funny that Gore talks about the Dial of Destiny device, since the D&D cartoon in the 80s had an episode where Wenger gets a modern fighter plane to send back to World War II with a Luftwaffe pilot to change history. Unoriginal IJ5. Nice, okay. Sam Wallace Art says, I wish the Triple R director did Indy 5. I'd trust him to do social commentary. Indy gives the treasure backstory in good faith, positive way. Yeah, I think so. Rather than Disney. Aurora Uplinks says, Harry Potter was born from suffering and dreams. Yeah, true, actually. I mean, well, from the point of view of J.K. Rowling, she went through some tough times when she was writing them. Or at least the first book. Enhanced Reality says, Drinker, have you seen Mr. In Between? If not, it's definitely worth watching and reviewing. Australian low budget with incredible writing. 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, but still relatively unknown. I've had a lot of people recommend Mr. In Between. I ain't seen it myself, I'm afraid.
Neither have I.
Patriotic Cat says, in a geek nerd culture era, it annoys me how many people claim to be geeky or nerdy and Hollywood using nostalgia bait to bait the rest of this generation. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the problem with geek culture, it went mainstream, as the saying goes.
Yeah.
Night King 1 says, this is why I like the Criterion Collection. A lot of the greatest and most inspirational films are not known, which is why they release them. Yeah, true. M8 says, oops, I forgot my message in the first super chat. Anyway, over the past few weeks, got to rewatch Blazing Saddles, The Big Lebowski, and Inglourious Bastards at the theatre. Just curious of your guys' thoughts on those movies. Blazing Saddles, awesome. Couldn't
I
make it
love
today.
all of those
Definitely.
films.
Yeah. Big Lebowski, yeah. Brilliant film. Great characters, great actors. Not much I can say. It's awesome. Inglourious Bastards, mostly good. It's not one of Tarantino's best movies, but yeah.
What do
still
you
watch it.
dislike about it?
There's a lot of the what have I said this about Tarantino before? He's very good at writing dialogue, but I think sometimes he goes too far into that, where it's like I'm just literally going to have two people sat at a table for 15 minutes and just shooting the breeze, and it comes across as like showy off a little bit and a little bit self-indulgent at times. I think you get a bit of that in Inglourious Bastards.
Damn. You thinking of a
Yeah, I'm
particular
sorry.
scene or?
There's the scene in the bar, where it all goes wrong and they end up, one of the bastards gets killed, because it's Hugo Stiglitz who gets discovered, and yeah, the scene near the beginning where like it's in the farmhouse and
I
the
really
Nazi
didn't
officer.
expect you to cite two of the greatest scenes in movies
I
as
know
examples.
it's the length of them. They go on
Okay.
really long.
I respect your perspective, Drinker, and that's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to rewatch it to get better references for you because it has been a good few years. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just remember that sticking out a little bit. Highlander says Disney CFO Christine McCarthy just quit right ahead of an earnings call. Interesting. Mike Young says, hey Drinker, I love your channel, pretty awesome. My question would be, could you review the original Star Wars trilogy and maybe, if possible, the Hitchcock films? Like, all of them? I mean,
Well,
I could. It
let's
would
get
be a big
started.
labor. Yeah, it would be a real commitment, I suppose. Yeah, when it comes to reviewing the original Star Wars films, it seems almost redundant at this point, just because they've been talked about forever. And I don't think I can add a whole lot to them. MGJ says, Chatto enjoyed your role as Balkrun in the Ninth Gate. And that's all I can donate today. Go away now. What?
All right.
Okay. Pooty Evans says, Red Tails is the last IP that Lucasfilm has left to kill. Well, there's Howard the Duck as well.
Yes.
Waylon Bacefus says, sarcasm activated. Maybe they should get Alden Ehrenreich to play a young Indiana Jones. There's no way that could flop, right?
Do it.
That'd be so funny if they did that. We're gonna make Alden Ehrenreich happen, god damn it. Pooty Evans says, has Disney done anything with the IPs from Fox? Prey is probably the only thing, isn't it? Because that was a Fox production.
I believe so. Obviously, we're getting, it's technically Marvel, but the mutants and all that shit, that's coming in the next phase of Marvel, I think.
Right.
Got Disney are making Deadpool 3, right? Which is Fox properties previously, but then Marvel properties previously. So, as for more than that, I don't know. Disney have got so many properties to make things from, and it all keeps burning. So, I'm sure they feel it's like a kid in the candy store, but all the candy makes you have diarrhea.
That's a perfect metaphor. Sam Wallace Art says, JJ, I just updated what Lucas did versus Tony Gilroy. I was inspired by the Haitian Revolution and this obscure philosophical quote. Don't disparage what you're copying if you've got nothing to add. That's fair play. Maurice Tremblay says, problem with current filmmakers is that they are not creating films inspired by others as Lucas did, but instead have been put in charge of sequels. Yes, very true. MJ Valentine says, Hail Drinker, if you ever get the time, I think you'd enjoy Jim Geraghty's Dangerous Clique CIA novels. He has often referenced you and your catchphrases in other places. That's pretty cool. Nice. Dengiston Spear says, today's big franchise movies feel like more expensive Steven Seagal movies, but with female Seagals. That's kind of true, yeah. Tomorrow Lad says, Disney CFO just quit, yep. Kiki Hideout, that one guy on that one Flash stream you guys did lied. The movie is really bad. Babies in microwaves, pukesies, and Keaton dies. Yeah,
He didn't lie. He just liked it more than we did.
He tried to polish a turd a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Crazy Greg, I like that name, says, Hail Drinker, I just finished reading I Am C-3PO by Anthony Daniels. He didn't explicitly say he hated TLJ. Oh yeah, we did this one actually on the night. Yeah. Nightmares in Paradise says, more excited for Andor or House of the Dragon Season 2? House of the Dragon, definitely. Yeah. Andor for me, because Gilroy always makes sure his scripts are ready before a frame is filmed, so strikes shouldn't affect it. Yeah.
So I would want to mention, like, I do think Andor Season 2 hopefully will be really good, but I'm more invested in the world of House of the Dragon than I am Andor. And if you need to know why, I don't know, you've been watching this show, right? Like, it's the Star Wars versus the world of, you could say Game of Thrones, but really it's before Game of Thrones. So,
yeah,
feels a bit cleaner.
There's less that's been fucked up, yeah, less mess. Logan Woods says, Cameron allegedly said, Arnold, I don't tell you how to act, so don't tell me how to fucking write. It's not just thick skin we're missing in today's industry, but class and professionalism. Yeah. Isn't it also the director's job to tell an actor how to act? I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that quote came from, it was already existent, and like I think they talked about it, but it was in the Arnold Netflix documentary, which I have seen, is good. I recommend. But yeah, he talks about that moment, and Arnie was like, "I will be back" would be more of a robot thing to say, and James Cameron was like, "Shut the fuck up, I'm the writer.
Yeah. Say
the line."
Yeah. Kiki Hideout says, Toy Story 4 sucks. They slandered Lasseter for it. Yeah, Toy Story 4 did suck. Sailor Mercury says, speaking of Arnie, are any of you aware of a channel called Space Ice? Hilarious reviews of Stallone, Arnie, and Steven Seagal movies. You'll love it. Well, I just so happen to have referenced it like earlier, so yes, I'm very aware of Space Ice. Sam Wallace Art. Inside Out was the last strong Pixar movie. Sounds generic, but the character writing is strong and the plot mechanics are a good representation of how depression works. A solid stepping off point. Okay. Russell Hall says, Sam Smith's Organic is the best lager. I'll take your word for that one. Blue Collar Loser says, at the theatre seeing Flash, first 15 is Affleck battle scene, epic. Ezra is annoying, Keaton just came on screen. It is epic, lol. Movie is okay so far. What was he super chatting us from the theater while watching our live stream while also watching the movie? What the fuck?
Yeah, apparently, I don't know.
That's impressive. Matthew Design says, looking forward to seeing the drinker pop up in Dick Dynamite 1944. Yeah, I do have a cameo in that. that movie was pretty good fun, actually. I liked it. Bohika says, Drinker, have you have the critical doggo, but I have a retired greyhound racing name Kevin James. What? That's a good name. But yeah. Thomas says, Drinker, did you hear about Spielberg thanking Lucas, Ford, and John Williams for creating Indiana Jones while ignoring Kennedy standing next to him? I mean, yeah, he shouldn't be thanking her because she didn't fucking create jack shit. She was a producer back then. Producer doesn't create things, they just organize stuff. So, yeah, if that's the shade, then okay. Diano says, John Cleese appeared on actress Mariel Hemingway's channel. She has 165 subscribers. Holy shit. That's pretty cool in that case. Maybe we can get him on the open bar. What do you think?
Maybe.
Let's do it. Alex Vanegas says, who would be your ideal duo to star in the remake of Face Off? Also, they will have to star in the remake of Brokeback Mountain. What the fuck? I'm not sure I want to see Face Off get remade. I don't think you can top Nick Cage and John Travolta, really, can you?
It's another movie that's like, they did it. It was good. Go away. Like, please.
Yeah. 200 Watt Studio says, wait, Mauler didn't like the lazy CGI nanosuit?
Which, you have to be more specific.
Must be from Flash. You know, the one that's in his ring.
Oh, right. Well, that... I think he says it's made of a fabric that once it's exposed to the acids of the air, it expands. They tried to say something that wasn't nanosuit, basically.
Yeah. Nanosuit in all but name. UCLA Jedi Knight says, you missed my chat last time too, and on the catch-up. Oh, that's strange. Normally we don't. I was curious if you or any of you have seen Bone Tomahawk, and if you would do a drinker recommends. I've only seen bits of it, so I saw the most gory bits just out of morbid curiosity. But
I've seen it. I liked it. It was a real, like, it's the kind of... I don't know how to put this, but... There's some movies that they're made for low budget and yet they feel high budget to an extent, or at least well utilized of the budget. And that's a film that got me going on that. I was like, I looked into the details of it and I was like, oh shit, this would have been good work by the people who made this then. And yeah, it was Red Letter Media that put me onto that movie, and I gave it a shot, and I like the characters a whole bunch, and it's a very unconventional Western, but I'd recommend it. It's not for the squeamish though.
No, definitely not. Kedge says, hello Drinker, Mauler and guests. Which classic animated Disney villains had the most gruesome death, and which one had the best villain song? None of I don't think anyone had particularly gruesome deaths. They usually like fall off buildings and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, well, not gruesome, but what was the name of the guy in the Tarzan movie that fell into a bunch of vines and then like got hanged basically?
Oh Christ. Now you're asking.
That was a pretty messed up death. I think they show like a silhouette of it or something. This is stretching my memory quite a bit.
Wait, hold on.
Well, in any case, that would be maybe my pick. So I remember being like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who mine might be. I suppose Scar from The Lion King, because he kind of got eaten to death by the hyenas. Again, the camera pans away, or you see like the shadows on the cave wall, but like it's pretty obvious what's going on there. So that would probably be mine. Macrodose says, in my opinion, the Black Sabbath song references the Anti-Monitor in DC, not Tony Stark. All right. Stuart Fields. Sorry.
There was a second part of that question that was your favorite song from.
Oh right, yeah.
Right? Be Prepared is an obvious pick for a lot of people.
Best villain song.
Yeah, another one I would go with isn't even like I know this person won't think it'll count, but I think it counts. It's the Rasputin from Anastasia. I love his villain song. It's great. It's In the Dark of the Night.
I think mine might be Gaston from from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, it's a solid pick.
It's just an absolute chad. Stuart Fields says, hyped to watch Extraction 2 tonight, but it feels like that would be a great cinema experience. Yeah, it feels like they could have released this theatrically. I don't know why it's out on Netflix. How do you guys feel about blockbuster movies launching on the small screen rather than in cinemas? I don't entirely love it. Particularly when you got a big star like Hemsworth, you could definitely make this into a theatrical thing, and I don't know, man. It feels like it'd be a lot more profitable for the production companies than just punting it onto Netflix. Um, Pretty Evans says, "Didn't Star Lord have his mask in Thor: Love and Thunder?" I think he did.
Uh,
I think you see it at some point, like in the intro bit, but I mean, I'd
yeah, I
have to
can't remember
check.
anymore.
Rob Eaton says, "Off topic, but Yellow Jackets shows how a series can have lead roles as women, yet still be entertaining if written well." Yeah, it's crazy that, eh? Um, Fear the Dwarves says, "Totally right on Iron Man. It really lost realism and punch when the noises of the suit wheezing and straining with effort during combat went away. Also, Drinker, has Muller tried to get you to play Lord of Ring Gollum yet? Muller
I
has
had,
tried very hard, but I
I
think
did
the ship,
try. I'm sorry.
I think
He
the ship has
resisted.
sailed now. Yeah, I resisted the urge." Angro Spaz Marine says, "Kathleen Kennedy appearing as a Sith Lord, $1 billion idea. Do it."
It would be
Broken
funny.
Broken Strings says, "Harrison Ford, how about 1923? It's solid." Yeah, it's meant to be really good. I've finished up Yellowstone, so yeah, 1923 is next. Shan Wickrasim says, "Did your guest say Anthony Starr was Australian? He and Carl Urban are actually from Wellington, New Zealand. Bluey is Australian, although is excellent." Yeah, I guess we get them mixed up sometimes, especially Americans.
Racism.
I know. Chat says, "Chato, you were involved with Boot to the Head. Wow, love that audio sketch. Worth a super chat. Amazing work." Nice one, thank you. And Macrodose says, "Making millions writing books on the way it should have been." Nice. And the last one is RW Spate says, Personally, same goes for video games. I care far less for game mechanics and visuals, but highly care about the story."
Uh, I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, like the story is what obviously gets you hooked and stuff, but like you've got to actually be able to enjoy the process of playing the game, or at least I do. So if the controls or whatever are really frustrating, it's man, that's going to eat away at your fun factor.
For me, it's just if you have a mechanically functional and incredibly enjoyable gameplay loop, then yeah, I'm sold already. Like a lot of indie games will be like that. But yeah, who doesn't love having a story attached that's really good? It's really neat when that happens.
Anyway, that was our last super chat. So thank you
Wow,
all. We
nailed it.
hopefully we've answered it. Yeah, we've answered your questions, and yeah, man, thank you for being so generous. And yeah, it was a very enjoyable open bar on Thursday night. I think we had one of our biggest crowds ever. So all good. And well, you'll catch us next time on the bar.
Bye.
That's all we got for today. So bye bye.